My name is Sean Spaventa. I'm a staff member at Drew University in New Jersey.
And I'm Kevin O'Connell. I'm also a staff member. I work at Centenary College, and this is our third year teaming up together, bringing down close to 65 students this year. And in years past, Sean, how many have?
We've had, last year was 120, and the year before that about 120 as well. This is our first year with Habitat. Previous 2 years we were with working with the UMCOR, United Methodist Committee on Relief.
This year we have a little bit more of a focus. Obviously now is it's more of a rebuilding period rather than I guess you could say demolition, what we did the last 2 years. So we're kind of focusing more on the experiences of the students that came down here, and really getting them a chance to kind of realize what we're doing and how important it is down here.
We've broken them up into teams of about 10 to have some after-work participation, where they're going to be able to share some thoughts and some of their experiences throughout the day. And we've given them a journal. They can write their thoughts and stuff down, and something to look back at later.
We might have about 30-40 students less this year, but I think in the last 2 years we had a lot of upperclassmen, and so we had a lot of upperclassmen graduate, but this year is a totally different dynamic of students, a lot of new students, freshmen, and we do have some returning students. So I think overall we are recruiting new students, and I think that will continue on that tradition for years to come. And I think between Centenary College and Drew University, I think we've dedicated the next 5-10 years or so to we're going to put something together and bring students and staff and faculty down here.
This experience this year compared to our past, we spent the last 2 years gutting houses for the most part. I would say 80 to 90% of our work the last 2 years has been gutting houses. So this is the first year we're actually on a full rebuild situation. Everyone that's going to be down here will be doing some form of rebuild, either here at Habitat or with the St. Bernard Project.
We'll learn more about the Building Bridges Coalition and its goal to double the number of international volunteers by 2010.
Hi, I'm Steve Rosenthal, and I'm the chairperson for the Building Bridges Coalition. The Building Bridges Coalition is a consortium of over 270 volunteer-sending organizations working around the world, colleges and universities, corporations, government agencies, policymakers, all working collaboratively to increase the number of volunteers serving overseas, to improve the quality of volunteer programs, and also to improve the impacts in communities around the world. The Building Bridges Coalition members are working to achieve our goals through collaboration and a spirit of a rising tide raises all boats. Through our work as a coalition, we are able to help promote the field, act as a galvanizing force for those in our field, and we're able to speak as one voice for our field. Today we live in unprecedented times. Today we live in a world where the United States' national agenda is to promote a friendlier face of America overseas so that we could build bridges of understanding across cultures, ones that focus on the fact that we are one human family, a world that seeks its solutions to global challenges through focusing on what we share in common as opposed to our differences. And with this new spirit of respect and partnership, international volunteering has become in and of itself a national priority. This is a form of soft power, a form of citizen diplomacy, where people come together with people of other countries at the grassroots level, and they learn, they serve, they help, they exchange. They come back to their home countries with an increased awareness about global issues, and they're empowered to affect positive change as with never before. They're able to break down stereotypes. They're able to present a more accurate picture of the American people. And today our field is thriving. 50 years ago, there were just a few thousand Americans serving overseas, and today there are tens of thousands. There are dozens and dozens of organizations providing wonderful opportunities for all Americans to serve overseas. You do not necessarily need to be a doctor or a nurse or an engineer to make a difference overseas. Today, There's opportunities available for people of all professions, students, young people. Teaching English is a need that is seen around the world. Working in schools, working with the elderly, helping people with HIV/AIDS, providing all sorts of care for people at risk. There are limitless opportunities, and there's wonderful organizations that are providing opportunities for people to serve. Around the world as we speak, there are students working in schools, there are business professionals helping women's groups in microenterprise, there are doctors and nurses serving in hospitals and health clinics. All around the world, the spirit of American people is being put to good use in helping solve our global challenges. The Building Bridges Coalition acts as a gathering place for organizations that are involved in international volunteering. In this collaborative convening space, we work together to solve challenges that face our field and enable more people to serve overseas in quality programs with meaningful impacts throughout the world. We encourage you to get involved in international volunteering. Everyone has something to offer. If you visit our website at buildingbridgescoalition.org, or you simply get on the internet and start looking for volunteer opportunities, talk to people in your community to look for more international opportunities, and get involved overseas, we can make a difference in the world. The future of our world, a world that shares a common sense of prosperity, a common voice of peace, and a common future of stability, depends on citizens taking action one by one, traveling overseas to build these bridges of understanding, to solve our tough global challenges, to come back as more aware global citizens, and will go on to make a difference throughout their lives. These are the meaningful actions that one can take to really enact the change that you see possible in this world. So please join us. Thank you.
What will they think of next? Apparently, the people at TripKick think it's important that you know about every nook and cranny of every single hotel room so that you can take advantage of the best each hotel has to offer. TripKick.com prepares you with the little-known facts about each hotel room so you can make an educated decision when choosing your perfect room. Each hotel page on the site offers a variety of helpful information. You can use the site before you've chosen your hotel or once you've already booked your reservation. The TripKick experts have thought of everything, including quiet rooms, corner rooms, rooms with great bathrooms, and preferred views and floors. The transportation portion of the site outlines the best options for getting to and from your hotel. The options include taxi fares in approximate distance to local airports, private transportation options, shared transportation options, i.e. van service, and public transportation options. The site includes a great blog that keeps readers posted on all the upgrades and important changes to some of our favorite hotels and inns. If there is a detail you want on a hotel room from Maine to Madrid, TripKick is the place to visit.
Working through the D.C. Baptist Convention, Reverend Fred Herring facilitated Fort Hood's work in New Orleans with NOAA Rebuild.
I went to work with the people that was located in NOAA headquarters down here. And when I contacted them, I told them I needed an African-American church that all people could work with while they're down there. In return, they located a church, Reverend Edward Scott, at the Christian Fellowship Baptist Church. And that is the church, one of the churches they're working with right now. And that came about because Reverend Lyle showed an interest in coming down here not only to work with African-American church, but work with other churches too. But one of the things we want to make sure of doing is that we did work with people who are located in Ward 9.
The church in the lower 9th Ward is headed by the Reverend E.B. Scott, Jr. The mission group is also in St. Bernard's Parish, hanging sheetrock at Hopeview Baptist.
The city of New Orleans said in order to collect the black bags, we can't have it on private property. So we have to put it out on the curb, and then they're gonna come back out and pick it up. We gotta move the black bags out there so they'll be able to discard it.
And in East New Orleans, they're moving trash and putting up new walls at Lake Forest Baptist.
The importance of this whole trip is to understand from the beginning that our work is not to really just come in an area and just work. The importance of the trip is that we evangelize people and bring people to Jesus Christ.
Reverend Herring says they want to encourage other churches, especially African American congregations, to become involved in New Orleans and other areas devastated by Katrina.
I've seen a number of young people. Fort Foot has 5 or 6 young people here, and some of the other churches have a number too. Do you see any particular significance to the fact that a lot of young people are supporting this project?
Yes, I do, because one of the things that we truly can say in Fort Foot Baptist Church is our goal is to lead the young people to Jesus Christ and help them also go out and lead other young people to Christ.
The younger members of Fort Foot include Channing Nash, soon heading off to college, Samoris Hall Jr., Lewis King Jr., and Ron Langley Jr.
I think that we should share with others who don't have as much, and come down here and seeing homes just wiped away just blew my mind. It was really upsetting. I mean, it was just pretty sad. Like, you can see the steps, but there was no home, and I just felt that is something we need to do.
You really need to know what you have, because a lot of what I've seen so far is really devastating, and I'm just thankful that I have a home to go to every night. I have running water. I can take a shower, go to the bathroom when I want to, where I want to. Just be grateful for what you have.
Anything that has touched you emotionally that you've seen so far?
I mean, well, yes, because today, before we even got started, a lady asked us to pray for her. Yes. And pray for her and this guy named Frank, because his power is out and he's on a respirator. Yes. So that really touched me this morning.
Kind of take stuff for granted where we live. Where, as a matter of fact, right before we came, 4 feet of water flooded my basement. And we were struggling because it was mold, and it was like, when I got here, 4 feet is nothing compared to my whole house being gone, so it was something serious.
A youth minister at Hyattsville's Emmanuel Covenant Church, Kwesi Williams is encouraged by the number of young people here to work.
I think it's significant because it shows that they're compassionate, and what we see and what we experience, especially being from the D.C. area, is we see a portrait of young people that don't care. That don't care about humanity, that don't care about other people, that don't care about their neighbors. But when you come down here and you see all of the young people that have come, you recognize that they care, and you recognize that there is an influence in their life that makes a difference. And so then
Voluntourism.org is the original source of information on the unique combination of travel and volunteering, your time and service. Founded by David Clemens, who is credited with coining the term voluntourism, he has been guiding the voluntourism.org site for 7 years. Clemens helped to shape the debate and crystallize the focus on this important travel niche. David Clemens produces a weekly podcast about the industry and is often quoted on the topic. David shares his perspective on the history of voluntourism.
I think before voluntourism.org came into the market space, there was a real sense that the only way to participate in this type of travel was really more leaning towards the faith-based approach. These mission-oriented trips that people would take, where the bulk of the time is spent, if not all of the time, is spent in one very tight remote location where people are basically engaging in voluntary service for the entire duration of their stay. When voluntourism.org came online back in September of 2003, we started seeing that the tourism industry realized that, wait a minute, this doesn't have to be just faith-based or mission-based travel or something where someone dedicates their entire time to volunteering. When someone goes to China, when they go to Ecuador, when they go to Chile, when they go to Uganda, they want to also experience the destination while they're there. They've made this long trip, whether it's from the UK, Australia, the United States, Canada, wherever it is. Once they get there, the thought of actually not seeing it beyond the boundary of what's been established or set up for them as a voluntary service experience, it was almost preposterous. And when we started looking at it and thinking about it, it was almost like, why didn't people think about this before? Well, I think part of the reason was these types of trips were really much geared towards people that thought they could be a tax deduction. They could be a write-off. So if I'm going to go someplace and spend my entire time volunteering there, well, if the bill is $2,500, I'll write off that $2,500, the airfare, the actual cost of the experience, all of those things. But after voluntourism.org, we started seeing the travel industry as well as voluntary service organizations beginning to realize that people wanted to take advantage of already being in these destinations and check off that bucket list. I definitely wanted to go here before I kicked the bucket. Now I have a chance to do that, and I want to see the destination beyond just volunteering while I'm there. So that's what's been happening, and I would say it really began to take off in that direction, either just prior to the launching of voluntourism.org or right after that, when the tourism industry really began to see that. Now this conference, the Educational Travel Conference, where we find ourselves, we had the first think tank on voluntourism here back in 2004. It's the first time that the travel industry had come together with the nonprofit world to actually explore this type of travel. So with that, we actually initiated this connection between these two industries that really had never had anything to do with one another. It was very interesting because volunteer vacations, there was no recognition that the travel industry had anything to do with that. And yet, your airfare, the airline industry, provided your transportation from point A to point B back to point A. Then you had a situation where once you got on the ground, where were you staying? Well, not everyone was staying in a hostel or at a cabin that had been built by a nonprofit organization. Oftentimes they were staying in a hotel. How did they get from the airport to the hotel? Generally, that transportation was not provided by the nonprofit organization. It was either provided by a taxi or a hired service in the destination. So much of what allowed volunteer vacations and the voluntourism industry to launch itself, even back as early as the 60s and 70s, when it started coming online, the travel industry played a big role in that. And yet it was never recognized until we decided to call it voluntourism. So I think that's what really spurred and got the voluntourists, as you asked that question, to get them involved in thinking, wow, I can do more than just volunteering on my travel experience. Now I have this other option of including what I do, and that's when the real travelers started looking at this as something beyond just a spring break option and beyond something as a mission-based trip, faith-based trip, or something that only the over 65 group could participate in because they had what we call discretionary time.
Friends and neighbors come to help in the Gulf Coast. Estimates of volunteers in the first year exceed 500,000. The scope of the problem will need twice that number in the next year.
Volunteers are the fuel that's going to rebuild the Gulf Coast.
It's just devastating. You can't put it into words. You have to come down and experience it and help.
Hi there, Mark Murphy from Jiufen in Taiwan. I'm about a 1 hour's drive from the city center of Taipei, and I'm up in the mountains in this beautiful town. Now, you may think that's ironic because it's literally pouring here, and in the wintertime, you can have many days like this in this mountain village. But let me tell you, rain or shine, it's definitely worth the visit. So come on and explore with me. So it looks like she's making some kind of brushes here, and she's making them out of I think, sheep. Is it sheep hair? Yes, sheep. Sheep. That's sheep. So you get to see some interesting crafts taking place. And actually, if you back up a little bit, let me just show you this. There's a lady doing calligraphy here. And, I mean, you look at the writing, and it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. What's neat is as you walk around, you check out some of these shops, you'll find shops like this one that makes mochi. And I'm going to try a sample, and it looks like it's cold and some type of strawberry yogurt. Strawberry yogurt. So, try that. Very, very nice. As we walked past this particular shop, we heard a sound. It's a beautiful, beautiful melody coming from it. We didn't know what it was, so we walked in, and it turns out this is an ocarina. And the ocarina goes back over 7,000 years and originated in China, and originally started out as a way to call birds, basically like a bird whistle. It eventually evolved into a musical instrument over the years. And in this workshop here, well, it's actually a store, but they also have a workshop, they actually mold these instruments by hand. This is basically one that just came from the workshop that hasn't hardened yet, and that's why the color is this greenish gray. Eventually it'll turn to this, and you can see, maybe when I scrape, it's still kind of soft, until eventually it hardens and you can literally bang it. And you can't bang it too hard, but you can definitely bang it. It's solid. Here's an instrument that's ready for sale, and this one is basically in a natural earth tone that they hand painted, but you'll also see the actual owner here, where he's literally painting, in this case, a little kitten by hand. How nice does that sound? Now here's the key question. Will I be able to do that? One of the delicacies here is red bean soup. And what goes in that red bean soup is something that gives it a very sweet flavor. You see, gentlemen, he's working on these like strings here, and they're made of dough. And they're cut into little balls, and they have different flavors. And actually, if we cruise over here, you'll see once they're heated up and ready for the soup, you have some different flavors. What the area is known for is taro, but in here there's yam as well as sesame flavor. And you can have the soup hot or cold, but the red bean is typically served hot, and I strongly encourage you to try it. Boy, what a great little stop. Jofen, enjoy.
Many people spend days and even weeks planning their perfect vacation or business trip, but forget to think about airport parking before they fly. That's when they get slammed with high fees or can't find a convenient spot at all. To make sure this doesn't happen to you, research your options beforehand at simplyparking.com. Simply Parking lets you compare more than 180 U.S. airport parking lots at 64 airports nationwide. On this user-friendly website, you can book the first day to guarantee your parking space, then pay the remainder as you exit the parking lot. Simply Parking also offers customer reviews and ratings for many of the major airport parking services. So get parking situated and have one less thing to worry about when you travel by signing on to simplyparking.com.
Your trips abroad are likely to be safe. However, unfortunate incidents happen. Here are some tips on how to avoid an unhappy vacation. Dress conservatively. Don't wear expensive-looking jewelry. A flashy wardrobe or one that is too casual can mark you as a tourist. Carry the minimum amount of valuables necessary for your trip and plan a place or places to conceal them. Don't bring anything you would hate to lose. Your passport, cash, and credit cards are most secure in the hotel safe. Avoid handbags, fanny packs, and outside pockets. Make 2 photocopies of your passport identification page, airline tickets, driver's license, and the credit cards that you plan to bring with you. Leave 1 photocopy of this data with your family or friends at home. Pack the other in a place separate from where you carry your valuables. As much as possible, plan to stay in larger hotels that have more elaborate security. For more safety tips and up-to-date travel warnings, go to travel.state.gov.
You don't have to travel to the Gulf Coast to volunteer your time and enthusiasm. You can be a virtual volunteer at Traveltelevision.org. We need people to help us with our web development and maintenance. We need writers, producers, video editors, artists, and anyone who has expertise in outreach and marketing. Make a difference by volunteering with this nonprofit organization, and you'll be giving a much-needed virtual boost to the volunteers in Louisiana and Mississippi. Please email us at iwanttohelp@traveltelevision.org.